Hello, good evening, and welcome to Telling Tales. Here we make atmospheric stories together through the medium of tabletop role-playing games. It is Monday night, so we are continuing our playthrough of the Masks of Nyarlathotep. The investigators are currently in Peru, but we will jump to that a little more shortly. Other things that we do on the channel, they're currently on a break from Simbaroom and the Yellow King, but they are both tentatively planned to begin again on their respective dates in October. So Wednesdays will be Simbaroom, and second and fourth Thursday will be the Yellow King. The previous episodes of those are available on YouTube. If you want to catch up, well, you might be hard pressed to catch up with Simbaroom in time for the next episode, but you can probably catch up with the Yellow King. And we do sort of occasional one shots on a weekend with different game systems, different players, different GMs, etc. Links below the stream to our social media, our Discord, which you should join and come and chat with us. And also our Patreon, where if you enjoy what we do on the channel, you can support us. And also the opposite of YouTube or Twitch, depending on which one of those you're watching us on. By way of a quick recap, the group have gone to Peru, answering an ad to go on an expedition to an as yet sort of undiscovered pyramid by a man by the name of Augustus Larkin. Upon arrival, they met him and his associate Luis de Mendoza, as well as a man called Jackson Elias, but who did not give that name initially, as he was attempting to sort of hide his identity from Augustus Larkin. They discussed the expedition. The group went to visit Jackson Elias's friend, a professor at the local university, the next day. Then lots of strange things happened, including them finding a dead body, which was sort of a husk, and the professor becoming infested with some kind of large maggoty thing that didn't smell very nice. But Corporal Martin Shane, Inga's character, managed to remove that from him successfully. Mr. Farwell, Justin's character, attempted to remove it and did not succeed, with I think a 1% chance in medicine. Due to a number of things, the group kind of believe that Luis de Mendoza, who is Augustus Larkin's assistant, may be responsible for these things and may or may not be a 350 to 400-year-old vampire type character. So sadly, we are down Inga and Jack this evening, but let's start bringing people on. There's 4 people, so I'll roll a d4. That's the fair way to do it. That's 1, and first on my screen is Justin. Hello, Justin. Mr. Farwell.
Indeed, Mr. Farwell. To you.
Give us a quick recap on Mr. Farwell to me, please, if you don't mind, and his current thoughts on things.
Well, thank you. Mr. Farwell is a straight-minded mechanic who is accompanying his wife on a expedition. They hope to go on to a strange pyramid of potentially mystical nature in South America, and that's really the whole thing. And he's enjoying it. It is a good holiday so far, but it has been strange. No more strange than London is on any day of the week, but strange.
True. Yes, especially if we were to combine this with the Vaesen universe, then London is quite strange indeed.
It is a peculiar place.
Yes. And now, great. Let's bring on Sam, who plays Mrs. Farwell.
was meant to
Yes,
be,
Sam?
just like
Yes.
our marriage.
Yeah, same question to you, please.
Yeah, Mrs. Farwell is a fairly handsome woman of middle years. She is somewhat of a mystic. She makes her trade do fairly well, kind of reading the fortunes and telling mystical, you know, I don't want to say fantasies, but stories for those who are who might be of that persuasion on the streets of London. But she also thoroughly believes in some elements of it herself. And I think that's probably more than anything what's brought her on this expedition with her husband, who is the practical one. And she's kind of along to find out what's really going on here, because she believes there's probably some greater meaning that we can find for ourselves in this place. And while I think she's definitely been shocked by the deaths, well, the attacks and the death, I think only one person's actually died that we've seen around ourselves, and the strange goings on, I think, if anything, it's made her even more what's the word, certain in her interest, and vindicated that this is clearly where she needs to be, because we've seen many unusual mystical goings on and strange inexplicable things that need to be explained.
Great,
Certainly.
thank you. Let's bring on Steve, who plays Edwin Price. Hey, Steve.
Hi there.
Same question to you, please.
Sure. I love that Mrs. Farwell is hoping to explain. There's going to be a lot of stuff to explain.
I mean, explain to the... It doesn't have to be... It has to make sense in scientific terms.
Good job, really. Okay. Yes, anyway. Yes, Edwin Price. I'm playing Edwin Price. Edwin Price is a very average lawyer. Apart from he's got good law skills, but everything else, my dice rolling was very strange during character.
I would say Edwin is very average and a lawyer, rather than a very average lawyer.
Okay,
I think that's like a better.
Yeah.
That's a good.
And also brackets. Yeah. So yes, he's a bit out of his depth. He came along on a bit of a whim, a strange impulse to, to broaden his horizons a bit. I think his horizons have been broadened a little too far too quickly, and he's currently quite worried about the implications of journeying on an expedition with a potential murderer and a drug addict. I think that's
and that's just the other investigators.
I was going to say, there are some red flags, it's safe to say.
One or two.
You're muted, Johnny.
Oh.
I was saying, finally, for this evening, we'll have John, who plays Merritt Barton. Hey, John.
Hi, Johnny.
Same thing for you, please.
Okay. Merritt Barton is a linguistics and languages researcher who is here because he took a passing interest in one of the local pre-Columbian languages. And it's really hard to find information about that in England, so he decided to come to Peru. He was not expecting, maggots being dug out of people or murders or anything that is happening. But he has agreed to accompany Mrs. Farwell to find a friendly local. He's also been having... Well, he had a weird dream last night, where he woke up on a bed of maggots in a long, dark corridor beneath a pyramid. It probably doesn't mean anything. You just get weird dreams sometimes. But yeah, that's more or less Merritt, really.
We should have probably said at the start that this episode might contain, actually not just this episode, warning, may contain maggots and other gross things.
Not a warning you want to see.
And that's just the investigators.
Certainly. Yeah.
That's tonight's running joke.
All big Slipknot fans.
I was going to say
John-
when he is not tracking down lost pyramids in Peru, he is usually working as a language tutor in Leicester to try and finance his own research. He's currently got his apprentice boy keeping the shop ticking over. So who knows how that's going to end up.
Thank you. And the other characters who are being NPC'd this evening are Jack's character Ted, who is a photojournalist, and Inga's character Corporal Martin Shane, who is an ex-field medic. So the previous session ended on, so the expedition is leaving on the Monday, and it was the Sunday morning, and you were all kind of deciding what you were going to do with the day. So I've got everybody's plan for what they will be doing. John, could you please make me an idea roll as you sort of muse upon your dream?
Do you remember what is idea roll?
It's int.
Knowledge?
It's like a score.
Yes.
Cool. Oh no, 71 over 55.
Okay, that's fine. So let's decide what order we're going to do these things in. So the notes that I had, you can feel free to change your mind if you want. That so Mr. Farwell and Ted were going to go to the market and look around the spots again for Luis de Mendoza. That Elias Jackson had said that he'd previously seen him in his time in the town before you got there. John and Sam were going to try and find some sort of local, mystical practitioners, I suppose. And Martin, Edwin, and Jackson Elias were going to look through any relevant books and things that they could find about, potentially the Karasiri, if they were mentioned anywhere, or anything else relevant, and also check on Jackson's friend, the professor, who, as far as you're aware, is currently in the hospital. Is everybody still happy with those courses of action now you've had a week?
Yep.
I regret.
Yep.
Okay, let's do John and Sam. So Merritt and Mrs. Farwell.
For what it's worth, I think what I'm trying for, what Mrs. Farwell will try to communicate with Mr. Barton, and I don't think she knows the city very well, so we might not achieve this, is going for very much, I think I mentioned this a bit, away from the kind of establishment, the more wealthy parts, academic, anything that might have a Western influence at all, and trying to go very local, very down to earth. They probably don't speak any English. That's why Mr. Barnes with me. Very connected with the kind of landscape of the people of the area. Maybe, I feel like, I'm not sure if Mrs. Farwell knows this that clearly, but she probably has an inkling that there's multiple cultures here in the city in Peru, and she's trying to find some of the more I don't want to say marginalized is kind of the word I'm going for, the groups who are less in charge, thinking that they will probably have some stuff that we won't find elsewhere on this.
But Barton is also thinking that if we are looking for someone who's kind of a traditional mystic, then we would be looking at more at the Quechua speaking parts of the city, probably.
Yeah.
That's why he's very
Okay. So, John, can you make me a language Spanish roll?
It's great. I just get to let Barton make all the rolls, and I'm like, we should do this. We should go here. Oh no.
I want something else as well, but
that is 27 under 52.
okay.
Is it worth spending a luck point to get it to a hard success?
No, it's fine.
Pass then.
Oh, there is one tiny bit of roleplay as well that I would say to Mr. Barton as we're heading out. I'd say, Mr. Barton, the other night I'm not certain. I'll probably look around a bit conspiratorially. I'm not certain. It might just have been suspicious, nervous mind. But when Mr. Price was having his supper, I think I saw someone watching him from outside the window of the bar. I couldn't say, but it could feasibly have been de Mendoza. I'm just a little concerned we might be watched or followed, so keep an eye out, I think.
Understood. I will do my best to keep you safe, Miss Fowler.
Thank you. That makes me feel much better.
Can you also both make me luck rolls, please?
No, I hadn't got my dice out, had I? Oh, yes. I got the D.
8.
100. That's a fail. 74.
Out of
60.
Okay. Yeah, I'm happy that you can find so I was using that to see if you kind of managed to get into the right part of town, essentially, or parts of town to find somewhere. But yeah, I'm happy that you can find somewhere that's kind of off a main strip and slightly more residential than kind of the area that you've been in. So you get like, when you get those streets that's like basically all houses or apartments, but then there's like a coffee shop and maybe a drugstore, but like apart from that, it's residential. So yeah, it's an area very much like that. But you also see a place that in Merit kind of translates to like fortunes, but also like folklore tours. So this person would probably have a decent amount of information that might be useful to you.
This is not in English, presumably, on the thing.
It's not, no.
So Mr. Barton will presumably translate.
And there's none of the like there's not like a big palm like window painting or anything like that. Like it's quite low key, so you could have easily missed it if you didn't speak the language to be able to read the sign.
So unlikely to be a tourist trap kind of thing.
Yeah,
I will point it out.
Seems a good place to start. Do you... I don't know if you know of any customs or polite... What I'm trying to get at is we may buy or bribe useful information rather than just ask for it. But I'm wondering if there's something we could offer. There's a local food item or something, or a drink that we could bring in to be polite. Do you know of anything along those lines?
Do I know of anything specific, Jonny?
How much have you looked into the culture and not just the language in your learning, do you think?
So Barton believes that language and culture are very intertwined. Which is why, for example, different cultures can have slight variations of languages. So he probably would have looked into it, but not like the etiquette wouldn't have been his main focus.
Okay.
Sounds almost like a role.
Yeah, you did roll very well on the luck roll, though.
Nice GM. I'm sorry, I'm making you actually look something up as well, aren't I, Jonny?
No, I think, as with many countries, a good bottle of wine is probably not going to, have their nose turned up at it.
Yep, we'll acquire one of those then.
I see things don't change all over the world.
It's always a nice gesture to offer your host a gift.
I will let you lead the way in make introductions unless you call from me, I think. So follow you.
Okay. Then I will knock and poke my head in the door. There's no sign on the outside to say in consultation, do not disturb or anything. Is
No,
there?
no. And you're reasonably early on a Sunday. You don't, you'd probably be a little bit surprised if there was somebody already here, unless it was somebody they knew, I guess. But yeah, so you assume in response to your knocking that as you kind of poke your head through the door, there is a woman walking towards you through the this downstairs room, which is set out with sort of like 3 chairs and then a single chair around a small circular table. And in Spanish, she says, welcome, come in. I'm happy that you have no problem with that. And
yeah. I'll head in and lead Mrs. Farwell. No, I'll back out, hold the door open for Mrs. Farwell. I am a gentleman, and then follow her in.
And she says, please take seats. Again in Spanish. I'm assuming Merit is responding in Spanish, so she's no reason to switch to English or anything.
No.
And she says, what do you need?
Well, I am Merritt Barton. I'm a linguist, so as far as I'm concerned, this conversation is already a gift and a service to me. But my companion here, Mrs. Farwell, is has a strong interest in the mystical arts in England and would like to speak to a local equivalent, I suppose.
She says, quite heavily accented, hello, Mrs. Farwell.
On
Mrs.
mute.
Farwell, you're on mute.
Suddenly, really scary moment. Damn it, you put me off my roleplay moment. Yeah. Hello. I'm sorry, I wasn't sure if you spoke English. I'm glad to meet you. What is your name?
Elena. You are both very welcome here.
Thank you.
We aren't sure on local customs, but we thought we would bring this drink, a nice bottle of wine, as thanks for your audience.
Would you like some now?
None for me, thank you.
No, I should probably keep my head straight this morning. I will say, looking at Mr. Barton, having entirely taken my cue.
She stands up and kind of puts it on a counter behind her, and then reaches around the counter and pulls out one glass and kind of pops the cork out and just pours herself sort of a small amount and just brings it back and sits down with it.
I will glance at Mr. Barton, checking that he's kind of happy for me to speak a bit, and then say, we are here. Well, we came originally as part of an expedition, and then I realized she probably doesn't speak the best English, so I go, a gathering to travel into the forest to find treasures and such. I think we were all perhaps motivated less as finders of gold and more for interest and for history and things along those lines. But already it seems, before we've even left the city, there have been many strange goings on. Goings on that I firmly believe do not fit with typical understanding that the scientific community may accept anyway, that people may think of as normal, but perhaps people like you and I are more familiar with. But not knowing this country well, I had hoped to learn more from someone local.
Where are you going?
Have we been told the name of the pyramid itself, or is it just kind of the region we've known?
No, I don't, because I don't think it has a name.
Yeah,
currently,
I know we've looked at the map, and I feel like Mrs. Farr will probably have noted kind of the direction and the city and stuff like that, so she could maybe at least say that.
Yeah, it was. You were sort of southeast of Puno.
Okay,
Town
yeah,
Puno.
I will. Southeast of Puno, I think it is said.
She reaches into a pocket and is sort of clearly holding or rubbing something when you say where you're going. And she switches back to Spanish for a moment as she speaks quite quickly. And, almost like in a shocked, and says, I would suggest that you stay away from there.
She says that we should stay away, Mrs. Farwell.
Oh,
May we?
Sorry.
It's quite all right. Are you able or willing to tell us why? Because we've had quite a few locals say some quite confusing things that they then refuse to explain.
Things such as Karasiri.
Ah. You have done some research before coming to me, I see.
Small amount.
I will get the jar, which I have brought with me out at this point.
Oh, okay.
Which has no formaldehyde in. It's just a dry jar.
Did we not find any formaldehyde? I can't remember.
That's what I'm out in the shops buying, my dear. It's on the list.
I did say I was going to bring it last session, so I definitely did. Yeah, I will probably get it out now. Not like put it in her face or anything, but like rest it on the table nearby so she can see.
She looks at it and doesn't seem to have any understanding of what it is.
Okay, well, if she is that reaction, I will say this came from inside someone, a colleague of ours, who was attacked by, well, in a most unusual manner, and someone else was killed. Well, they were. I'm trying to think of a way of explaining it.
Desiccated.
Yeah, they were dried out. Exactly.
One of the medics, a local, called or said Kurasiri, and then fled the room.
Yes, now you've explained, this does seem like it may fit.
May we... Could you explain to us what that means? Because the way Karasiri was explained to us was like a person, and now it's a worm, but it's also the name of maybe a group
Karasiri is like also can be called Pishtaku in Quechan, which I suppose means like you do with animals before eating.
Skinning them?
No.
Fastening them?
Butcher.
Ah,
Ah.
yes.
Oh, lovely.
So, yes, they can be one or many. They are like people, but not.
And very dangerous. I assume they are why you say we should avoid that place.
That is what I understand.
What, as we are no experts on these things, but as I understand them, they potentially may live for a long time, longer than a normal person. There is a coincidental link between one of the people who, well, I suppose invited us on this trip and the name of someone who went to that pyramid a very long time ago. De Mendoza is the name. Louis de Mendoza, Mr. Button?
Not a name I know. But I do believe they are supposed to have a much longer lifespan than a human. So maybe. And if that is the case, you should be very careful of him.
How would one stop one of these creatures? Or people? Would you call them creatures?
I would probably call them creatures. I think that they can have more than one form. So they may look like a person most of the time, but they may change. Not wholly, but in part.
Do they have any... Sorry, go ahead.
Weaknesses?
Yes. A comparison in our culture would have a weakness to religious iconography or rosewood or stakes for the heart, that sort of thing.
There is a a story about the pyramid. And a in fact, can you both make me some kind of personally communication roll?
As in like a talkie communication role or like a psychology role?
Yeah, but I don't know. I'll maybe
Why is there?
no, maybe there
Persuade.
isn't anything relevant actually.
Is it like a perceiving something in there more?
No, it was more how much information she wants to give you.
I see. Be friendly. We give a wine. Persuade, I suppose. But we're not really doing...
right. Can we do an easy persuade roll?
Okay.
Is a persuade just making the number, or
Easy. And easy, is that like higher than...
Like double.
Double. Okay.
Double the...
my persuade is 50. I'll roll anyway, but my persuade is 55.
In case you fumble, yeah.
Yeah, I rolled a 77, which is a success because my persuade is 40.
I did roll 95, so...
You said it too soon.
I think it's 96, right? I think
Yes.
you climbed by
50
one.
and
I think
over.
it's
50 and over is 100, isn't it? I think it's because if you
then
got
it's
that.
a pass.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, she says, I believe there is a story about the pyramid and something that happened there with a group of conquistadors. My memory is spotty on it now, but if you can find something about that, there may be an answer in there.
We may have something along those lines.
That
We'll
would be a
study
good
it
place to
closer.
look. I do not think that holding a cross at those things will do much to protect you.
Jonny, that was kind of a persuade thing. So could I make a psychology roll to see why she wasn't? There was a bit of a holdback in that, or is it there's no good reason to tell?
You can make a roll to see if you even noticed that there was a...
Okay, just why not? Roll some fun. 93, so I do not succeed. I'm rolling bad tonight.
Cool. Yeah, do you want anything else from her before you...
Well, that was kind of the last thing I was going to say, but I might have something else. I feel, as another person who believes there is more to this world than meets the eye, you will probably understand this. I feel, regardless of your recommendation to avoid this place, somehow, at least myself, we are called to this. There is something important that we must see and we must be doing here. I don't know if it's the pyramid itself, but anyway, I suppose I'm just wondering if there's any other advice you might have for us to stay safe out there, given all that's been going on and all that we've heard. Because I fear we will not take your advice not to go into the forest, as sensible as it may be.
If you will go, then keep watch for each other. And knowledge is good. So if you do have some resource that you can look to, as I've suggested, then that may be a helpful thing.
Thank you.
Oh, one last thing. This might be completely unrelated. But could you take a look at this drawing and tell me if it has any local significance? It's probably not. It's from a foreigner, and I'll show her the picture of the tattoo.
She has a look at it, and you can tell that it makes her a little uncomfortable in some way. But she says, "No, I don't think I recognize this." And she kind of looks at Mrs. Farwell and says, "Don't you think it feels bad?"
I think I'll just nod. Even.
It is quite unsettling to look at. But thank you. I would have felt very foolish if it was related and I didn't check. Yeah, I'll put it away.
Jonny, is this place presented as a place for like talking, communing, or is it sort of a shop as well? Just out of curiosity.
You can't see anything that's on sale.
Okay.
It's basically like a floorboarded floor, and the walls are kind of painted a dark green. There's a mirror on one wall. You can see a door going through to another room out back, but that may just be her like living area as opposed to this being a consulting room. If you inquired, she may sell some things, but there's not like a display for things for sale here.
Yeah, I will leave it at that then. I think it was just an idle curiosity. I don't think I would actually mention it. I think I might turn to go, and just as I'm about to walk out the door, I actually turn around and go, "Oh, thank you for your time. There isn't anyone else who might know more about this you could recommend by any chance?"
I don't think so, but feel free to come back, and if I think of anything, I will let you know.
Oh, thank you.
You are both welcome.
Thank you. Was there, like, as part of her sign, a listed price for a mystical consultation? Like a price for a palm reading or something?
Nope. And she's basically like if you're looking like you're going to leave, she's not asking you for anything.
I would like to be polite, and I will ask, as we did take up your professional time. May I inquire as to your rates?
No rates.
That is very kind of you.
And she lifts the wine glass up.
If you would like to talk on the subject anymore, we can be found at Hotel something Hotel Hispania.
Wait, no, that's their hotel.
No, that's the other one. Hotel Mori.
Yeah. Good to know.
And I'll follow Mrs. Farwell out.
Cool. Any chats on the way back, or shall I jump to someone else's stuff?
I think maybe I just once we're a bit of a distance away, I suppose I'll go. I must admit, I suppose I'm a little disappointed. I'd sort of hoped there was more. Well, you know. Yes, we know a lot about this thing. Maybe that was naive.
I do. I sometimes find local folklores are a lot more less centralized than we might expect. Everyone knows a little bit of everything, but finding someone who can tell us the entire history of a lost pyramid is quite difficult. I suppose that's why it's a lost pyramid.
I suppose that's a very fair point. And I didn't really get a good sense of how large this country is from that map, I must admit. I suppose the pyramid may be further than I'm thinking from here.
Yes. John's geography is very bad, but Peru is bigger than the UK, right?
It's pretty big.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, it's definitely bigger than the UK. I don't know by how much. I'd say it's something like twice off the top of my head, but I'm not really sure.
It's difficult because of map projections.
Yeah, it looks about the same on a map, but then map projection. Yeah, it's definitely more than Mrs. Farwell currently thinks. I think she's imagining a few days to there rather than the journey that it will actually be.
It's about 5 times as many kilometers squared than the UK.
Quite a lot more.
Yeah, a bit bigger. Yeah.
But I mean, you're not going to the other side of it, but there is a large area that it could be that you're not in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I will escort Mrs. Farwell back to the hotel unless she says she wants to go anywhere else.
No, I think
Cool.
I'm happy with that.
So let's do Mr. Farwell and Ted.
Sounds brilliant.
So you want to go to the market and pick up some formaldehyde?
What I've got 2
And
things
black
on the
paint.
list. Black paint. Black paint's the most important one, and formaldehyde also important.
Okay.
And then we're looking at like random places, catching vibes. I mean, at the moment, Farwell is still basically on holiday. That's how he's treating this. So
between you and Mrs. Farwell, you have a credit rating that I think means I don't need to worry about you having the money to purchase black paint and formaldehyde.
Probably both in like a chemist, maybe could happen. Maybe not.
Yeah. So I would say, can you give me a luck roll, Justin, to see how easily you can find formaldehyde in?
Yeah, to be fair, if someone said, "Go buy me some formaldehyde," that's you mute, Justin.
You're muted.
I'd assume like a chemist has it, but I rolled 42 and I should have rolled under 30, so that's not a pass.
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that it took you a little longer than Mr. Farwell would have liked for you to complete this part of the task. So let's say that a couple of hours have gone by the time you've done that. So do you think, would Ted have come with you or started scouting out on his own? I think yes. I think he probably began scouting on his own. Maybe he
all the better
planned for you to stick together, but then when it started to take a little while, he was like, maybe I'll just
Great.
And I think you arrange sort of, every 15 minutes you'll be at X place. So then you can catch up. He will have. Whether or not you go there or not is a different matter.
Lima can't be that big, right?
I'm not. I don't care whether I attend that 15-minute check-in. That's That's my view on that one.
Can you make a spot hidden roll, please? Justin?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Oh, this looks good. I think I passed that. I think I rolled under half. Yes, I did.
Nice. I rolled a 6 for Ted.
Well, I rolled 12. Not as good as
Nice.
6.
They are good numbers. Okay. I'm I'm going to say that again, as you are somewhere near the Hotel España, you see a figure that may well be Luis de Mendoza going inside.
Okay. I'm going to follow him. I've got a great cover, which is I'm going to check on the guy who nearly died last night. Like, I think I have, like, there's no situation in which I will regret this decision.
Okay.
I don't have my gun with me, but I do have my blackjack with me. Which is,
okay.
Just so we get that clear, like before anything happens.
Was it you and Ted that went? No, was it? Or was it?
No,
that went in here last
I went
night?
outside. I was outside.
That's right. But yeah, Ted sort of leads you. So you can't see him when you come inside. But
is the desk lady there? Or
she is. Person? She's sitting on her chair in the hallway.
Okay.
Can
I? Is there? Can I do what I want to know is when I want to check if the desk lady looks ill. Basically, because I'm curious to see if, like, the reason that she disappeared last night was because she was being devoured by a fat sucking vampire, and not just shirking duty, which would be unforgivable.
Well, get ready to unforgive because she looks fine.
She looks fine. Right, fair enough.
Yeah. You imagine that it was probably like post standard check-in time last night.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So, yeah, she starts to speak to you in Spanish.
Yeah.
As you come in,
I just say, Mr. Larkin.
Oh, see,
I kind of just point upwards up the stairs, like, Mr. Larkin.
Yeah, and I think Ted says, "Oh, we're friends. We know where his room is."
Oh, is Ted here too? I thought.
Oh, are you literally planning on having gone straight there?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know we'd met up, but
I think you've caught back up. Yeah,
Okay. Sure.
Justin, take the backup. It's useful. Why are you wanting to go by yourself to face the vampire?
Because we need to get this. It's more interesting.
No.
Let's get this popping. Like,
if there's no backup, nobody will be able to say you've died a horrible death. You'll just disappear.
You realize my character's significant person is you. If you die this early, it will significantly affect my roleplay. Give me a bit of time.
Look,
think of your wife, Justin.
Mr. Powell does not think he's going to die in this hotel room. So, but yeah, that's great. Ted's here.
So Ted leads you to Larkin's room.
Okay. So we just walk past this poor woman who's trying to work out what's going on. Good.
Yeah, she's accepted that you know who he is.
Exactly. That's good.
And yeah, so you get to the hallway, and Ted says quietly, Larkin's room to Mendoza's room.
I'm gonna walk over to Mendoza's room and just try just like open the door handle and just not even tentatively, just that's what.
Yeah, it's locked.
Okay. Oh, must have the wrong room. I say, and wander over to Larkin's room.
Are you listening to hear if there's any sound inside when you say that?
A little, but I'm not pressing my ear against the wall. If suddenly there was a bookshelf were to fall over, I'd probably hear it. But yeah, okay. I can make a listen roll if you like a hard one or something. Or
yeah, just give me a listen roll.
Well, I very much failed. I didn't you know,
Okay.
68 over 20. So there you go.
Okay. So you're going to Larkin's room.
Yeah.
Ted says, "Do we knock?"
I'll just open the door again.
Yeah.
Look,
you open
if
the door.
if I suddenly knocked this time, the whole cover for the other one would have been blown.
Yeah. You open the door, and see Larkin with his back to the door, kind of buttoning up a shirt.
Right.
And he turns and says, "Mr. Farwell."
I just, Mr. Larkin, I heard you were out of sorts last evening, and I just wanted to come and check that the expedition's all going ahead as planned. Me and my wife are very keen to be on it.
Yes,
And
yes.
quickly.
The trucks will be here tomorrow, and yes, a few days travel, and we will be at the site.
Well, if there's anything we can do to make sure there aren't any delays, then do let us know.
Very kind, thank you. Are you enjoying your stay here in this lovely city?
I find it absolutely fascinating and interesting and invigorating. I think the air here is different.
Can you make a spot hidden roll?
Absolutely. I just failed.
Okay, that's cool.
If it's close.
I failed like 33 or something over 25. So what would I? That's not that close.
Too much.
Yeah. Did you say you only have like 30 luck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
you can.
no.
You can.
Is that
always
bad?
push-
You could push. That's true. If you wanted to, because it's just...
No. Farwell's not the kind of person who, like, I don't think this is where all the clues are. So, evidently I'm wrong, but like, that's what I think.
He throws on his jacket over his shirt and says, "Is there anything else?"
Does Ted get not a chance to do some spot hidden stuff?
I rolled. Yeah, I didn't succeed either.
Blast. Right. Are you out? We were.
Yes,
taking
I'm
the air
going to go
ourselves.
get some lunch. You're welcome to join me.
Oh, certainly. Lunch. I just say looking to Ted. Lunch old sport. Farwell doesn't say old sport. That's not him. Yeah. Oh, then I'm. Should we go and get the Mr. Mendoza?
I think he is out already.
I'll knock on his door and just check anyway. I believe he's next door.
Yes, of course.
No,
Make
okay.
a psychology roll.
Yeah, cool. That'll be something I pass.
Oh, good, a 99 for Ted.
23, so that's massive fail.
Okay. Yeah. He says, "Yeah, feel free."
Then I will go do that. I'll step outside and rap on Mendoza's door and say, "Sorry about earlier, but we are heading out for lunch."
You don't hear anything from inside.
Ah, well, must have missed him. And then I'll Ted and I and Larkin will all get some
Go
lunch.
for lunch.
Well, I've got all of the things that I need to get at this point now. I don't need to get anything else in the markets or anything.
Yes.
Good,
Yeah,
right.
we've got you that stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to? Is there anything that you want to press him for at lunch or anything like that? He takes you to somewhere nice and says that he'll pick up the bill. So choose, whatever you both want for lunch.
I mean, I wonder whether I feel that maybe Ted would want to press him on how he got that strange tattoo, but I can't make that decision for him. I just
maybe
like
you really wouldn't.
Yeah, I was
Kind of a
thinking. I
big
don't know
decision
if
to
you
make
would.
that.
yeah. I think I'd ask generally about details of the trip and all the rest of it.
Yeah,
maybe.
so-
Yeah, I don't know how convincing of a I don't know if Farwell's. He's not really got fast talk. I don't know if he I don't know how good of a liar he is, and how imaginative he is. But what I might say, I think he's intelligent enough to say something like, I want to try and bring up the fact that the professor guy was attacked by some kind of parasite, but in a kind of I heard at the local, either a local new paper or newsletter or something. I'm not quite sure. Conceivably, which of those things would be most likely to be able to bluff it as, or I don't know. I make my idea roll, and then which I definitely pass. So, could there be something that could be conceivably where I would have heard it from that wouldn't be easy to verify?
Yeah, but you want to say that rather than just saying you were literally there when it happened.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
because he doesn't know we were there, does he?
Not as far as you're aware. No.
Yeah. So then that's how I'll do it. I'll be like, there's there's a strange, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just make other details, see what.
Yeah, a local paper. Yeah.
Yeah. And pass it off as a kind of all these, weird things happening in the city.
Oh, that does sound strange. I think. Did you say it was the professor?
Yeah, it sounded like some kind of historical expert. Maybe it was someone we could have used on our expedition.
Oh goodness, I do hope it wasn't. Wait, what was Jackson Elias's other name?
Ted Hughes? No, someone Hughes.
Jesse Hughes. Yeah.
Hughes.
I hope it wasn't. I hope it wasn't Mr. Hughes's friend. I know he has a friend at the university.
Could be.
I should check with him later.
He didn't seem to be. Farwell's lack of psychology. He seemed.
I was going to say you can make another psychology.
I will
roll,
do.
But,
I will do. This one also fails.
Mine might have succeeded. No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't at all. He's he's a friendly guy. He seems totally above board. Genuine concern for whoever this person is. No reason for concern.
Great, that's fantastic. In that case, I have lunch, finish lunch, thank him for the food, and we'll be off.
Cool.
I'm going to spend the rest of the afternoon painting that block of gold black.
Oh my god.
Cool. So, Edwin, Martin, and Jackson Elias.
Hello.
What was your initial plan, Steve, on what you want to do?
So I'd asked Jackson whether, because he said he'd had some books with him regarding summaries of various bits and pieces. So basically, I'd asked him whether he had any written stuff that I could read through that might discuss Carrie more. Basically, wanting to read something to try to get some background info.
Cool. Let's do library use rolls. I will do one for Martin as well, although I feel it might not be his strong suit.
Standard.
Yeah.
Oh.
In fact, that was close to a success. Can you give me? No, in fact. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Go on, Steve. Sorry.
Well, my library use is 40. I rolled a 17, so that's a hard success.
Very nice. Okay. So you find in you basically find a bunch of Jackson's notes that he's made. With those notes are some sort of bits of like articles that have a little note attached to them, to like all of his things that he's taken from places have notes to say where he got them.
Nice.
So this seems to be from a New York library,
Right.
and it's sort of a story of the sort of Karasiri legends. He sees you kind of pick this out and says, yes, that was kind of what sparked this whole trip, actually. I saw that and thought that there might be some kind of explicable basis to this this folk tale, as it were, as I said previously. Kind of tied into my other research on death cults, and I thought perhaps this was another similar thing to that. Now I'm beginning to wonder if I was being a little naive, but because they're usually described as being European-looking people, I began to wonder if this cult had come here with the conquistadors. So that's why I came here.
I suppose if you were thinking of them as a theoretical or an academic exercise, you haven't found any information as to how to protect yourself against them, have you?
No. He was party to the note that you found, wasn't he? He's read that as well, I think.
The letter.
Yeah, the 1543 last confession thing.
I'm sure he probably would have mentioned it if
Yeah.
I think so too.
we did go down to the storeroom. He saw the body, so I'm sure we would have gone over it.
So he says, well, if this de Mendoza is the same as the other one, then it seems that shooting him in the head doesn't necessarily fix anything. So maybe we do need to be looking for more.
Well, I was wondering about the that patch of burnt skin on the gold bar. I don't know where that came from, but it seems strange that the box was opened and then the gold bar was left, and that burnt skin was on it.
Like maybe they can't touch it, you mean? Without being harmed?
It's hard to say, but yes, maybe it would be worth. Perhaps I should try to find some sort of I don't know, gold knife or something.
Unless it's not the gold and it's the, well, whatever the things are on there.
Oh, the script. Yes. Possibly, yes. I think Mr. Barton has taken a rubbing of that, perhaps. Yes, that's a good point. Interesting.
Um,
Yeah, so I think that's basically, yeah, that's my initial kind of action there. Unless any, more information is apparent.
No, so part of there's sort of, again, a few written accounts from when Jackson has spoken to locals, but the majority, apart from that sort of initial note from the New York Library, there's a couple of local folktale books, which then there is which are in Spanish. So then there's a couple of pages that there's like, an A4 sheet in that's the translation of that bit or whatever. But yeah, there's nothing that sort of says do this and then they'll not be able to come near you or anything like that kind of thing.
Fair enough. That'd be too easy.
Yeah. So yeah, he says, well, I would like to go check on the professor, but Mr. Price, you're welcome to stay here and keep your head in the books if you choose, or come with me. Corporal Shane, I assume you might want to visit the patient. And he nods.
I think I'd want to go with them. Yeah.
If you want to bundle any books up to bring them with you and kind of sit, then he's got no problem with that. Cool. So you head and you find the professor in the hospital after a little bit of Jackson speaking Spanish to the nurses and such. And he's sort of sitting up in bed and looking much better than he did yesterday. And he says, Jackson, as he walks in. And Mr. Price? Corporal Shane, I understand that you are responsible for assisting me. You have my greatest gratitude. Still not exactly sure what happened, but that he kind of looks around the room and like ushers but like he's kind of ushering Jackson, but like if you both were to move closer, that wouldn't be a problem. He says, there is something not right about Larkin's assistant. It was him.
You recognized him then?
Oh, yes. Although, well, his face distorted somewhat when he did whatever it was that he did to me. The mouth was like that of some, I don't know. Let's just say he had a lot more teeth than he should have done. Be careful, I would say.
Yes, that is, well, yes, good. If obvious advice, we were. Well, I was pretty certain there was something deeply wrong with the fellow. You don't? Did he seem in pain? Did you happen to see any injuries on him as he?
Injuries? No, I don't think so.
I was just a silly theory. I think he might have left some skin on the gold bar in the storeroom. There was some burnt skin on that gold bar you have down there.
Oh. Interesting. I feel that bar may have been part of a greater piece.
What do you mean, sorry?
The edges of it seemed incomplete, like it had been removed from a larger item.
Oh, I see. There was, and that piece was from the pyramid.
Based on what, God rest her soul, Rizzo was working on. I believe from the Figueroa's last confession, or however he termed it. That's my understanding, if that is to be believed.
Yes, there was something in that extract about something being pried out of a wall. Oh yes, the carvings. Yes, the gold carvings.
Well, I was, as I'm sure you're aware, completely a non-believer of anything non-scientific. But, well, it seems that these things may have some basis in truth. And from my understanding of the section that I read, it seemed like things began to change for the group, perhaps after they had removed that section of the gold.
Yes.
I don't know whether that means that you should be careful with the gold, or whether it should be returned.
Well, I suppose there are many myths of things being stolen from locations that then cause bad luck. I wouldn't be surprised if there are many stories where replacing the objects ends the curse, but well, I don't know.
I suppose if you were to press ahead with the expedition, then perhaps it would be worth taking with you in case it does become of use at any time.
Is that something the museum would countenance? It must be worth a significant amount of money, he says, trying not to smile. Shh, don't tell it.
I might make a roll actually to see.
Edwin doesn't know. Edwin can say that with an absolutely straight face because
we
Edwin
would be devastated were it to go missing.
Look, guys,
yeah.
let's
The
just
ruin
not
of the
talk
whole
about it
museum.
anymore.
Sanchez says, "You are with my very close friend, and well, Corporal Shane there may well have saved my life, so I'm sure I can make a note that it has been removed from the library temporarily."
Well, that is very, very kind of you. Yes, I promise we will take the utmost care with it. God, amazing. Yeah, shall we gloss over the weirdness regarding the fact that Edwin would be going downstairs to collect it and it's not there? Does
No,
anybody else-
I don't know. I'm liking this.
Oh God.
I just if you're gonna find it and it's missing, I'm gonna obviously.
I love Edwin getting really paranoid that someone
Yeah,
stole it. That's great
like
roleplay.
let's keep the reveal for a while. We could get
Oh,
this.
fine,
It could
okay.
be months. Like, you know, like if the group is like, oh my god, the gold bar went missing.
What are we going to
Fowler would not-
do? We have to
would
find the
not bring
gold
that
bar.
up at all. That's like the end of the conversation. That's there's no more. The gold bar's gone.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I suppose yes. Edwin would make arrangements to collect it, and then be somewhat confused.
Maybe Mendoza took it.
Well, yeah. Oh, well, that would. Go on.
You were there, I think, when Barton hid it.
Was I? I don't think I was.
I don't know.
No, the last people who were there with it, I think, were Edwin and I, and Edwin like left, and I went back and stole it. That's basically what happened. So,
There
Edwin,
was a
we put it-
moving there was a moving location, wasn't there?
Yeah,
it was
I
moved
think-
within the storeroom initially.
Yeah, I
and
think we
then-
put it. Yeah.
I went back to
But we put it back together, so you would know where it was stored, and it would not be there anymore.
It is not there. Yes.
Yeah. And I want to say that like you could have just not brought it up.
Oh, Justin, I had to.
This is 3 more sessions content right here.
Johnny just
God.
leaves.
It just
Um,
ends with me clubbing Price over the back of the head with the bar. Like,
yeah, the professor kind of says, "Forgive me, but I do think that I need to get some more rest. I've been very tired since yesterday."
Of course, it is entirely understandable. Well, I am very glad to see that you are still with us, and thank you for confirming that it was indeed Mr. Mendoza that caused this. It gives us some certainty, at least.
Yes. Do be careful if you see him again.
Oh, we will. We will.
And I would say that his association with Larkin and Larkin's inability to accept me on the expedition should not be understated. I wouldn't necessarily be overly trusting around him either.
No, we did. 2 of our party did happen to check up on Larkin last night, and he was not in the best of health, and with a strange tattoo as well that he seemed strangely unaware of. Some strange. I'll mention the design briefly.
Huh. Not something I'm aware of. Doesn't sound of any sort of local religions or anything that I know of. Very strange. He doesn't remember it.
No, not at all. Very strange.
Well, you know where I am if you need anything else. He says and kind of gestures at the bed.
Yes, of course. Yes, we will keep a close eye on Mendoza. I trust you will be safe in here.
I hope so. There is an officer stationed. More so due to this gentleman, and he kind of gestures, and you notice that it's the person who was stabbed in the hallway of the museum.
Oh, okay, right.
I don't think Edwin was in the room when the conversation happened, but when Martin did the operation procedure on him, and they had a discussion about him going to the hospital and would he be safe. The police sergeant, you would guess, did say that they'd put them near each other and then they'd be able to have a person be in there to keep an eye on both of them rather than because the guy who had been stabbed. So of course they could have somebody keeping an eye on him. But like maybe Sanchez has a tropical disease or a tapeworm or something. Like what would the reason be for them stationing an officer there?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, they are roommates essentially.
Excellent. Great. Well, yes, I think unless Jackson wants to say anything, I think that's yeah. Edwin will go off and attempt to find the gold bar and not be able to, and then I don't know. We can.
Yeah.
I won't bother the professor any further because he needs to recuperate. So I'll just go back with the party to the others, I guess, later on.
Yeah, I'm assuming as everybody else just headed back to the hotel, the Farwells.
Yeah.
I suppose
Cool.
we're probably back fairly early, aren't we? So maybe first.
Yeah.
For us, Mr. Barton and I.
There's
Strange
some
music.
interesting BP jazz coming from someone.
Sorry, my neighbour is playing the saxophone.
Oh my god.
Very beefy sounding.
That's great.
It's very scene setting.
Yeah, I can imagine we're probably back. I would invite, because we both have research to be doing, I would invite Mrs. Farwell to a non-private communal room because I don't want to invite a married woman to my private room. But yeah, I will offer joint researching and maybe try another roll with that folklore book if I can get away with doing that.
If we do
Sure.
the story about the conquistadors, what was that recorded in? Because we had that somewhere in it. Did we just read it somewhere, or do we have a document that has that story?
You
We
got
had
the document
Rizzo's-
from Rizzo, yeah.
Perfect.
We had Rizzo's
Who ha-
notebook that we
who
found
has
in
that
the
at the
on the
moment?
corpse.
Oh yeah, I have that. Perfect.
Yeah.
So that's two things with stolen.
I will be reading that very intensely.
We acquired these things.
Ooh, that is a success. It was a Spanish roll, right? No, it was a library use.
I think I should do both.
Okay, so that was my Spanish, which was a success.
Yeah.
And my library use is just off an extreme success. So just
Oh.
a hard success.
Someone's showing
Okay.
up.
Yeah.
So good in that line.
And Sam.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a role for me, but I'm reading to try and figure out exactly what the weakness that is somehow implicit in this story about the conquistadors. Like,
So
what the
either
theory is.
either you can read it and discern what you think it is from it,
Mm-hmm.
or you can make me an idea roll.
I mean, my intelligence is 70, so that's a pretty good bet. But also, isn't it more fun to try and figure it out? Well, I have to choose. Oh, I like rolling dice. And,
You can just roll dice whenever you like. You don't have to.
You
That's
you
true.
can see if you like what you think it is, and then you can tell me, and then you can make an idea roll.
Can I do it
And I
that way
could
around?
s-
Yeah,
that's fine.
I would like
That's
that.
fine.
Make the idea roll, and you're like, nope, you were completely wrong, Sam. You are an idiot.
Okay.
Or even better, this is what it is, and then I get a critic or I get a fumble, and Johnny's like, "Yeah, what you think it is exactly right." That would be perfect.
So you were looking for Karasiri related things, right, John?
Yes.
In the wondering what I can give you. So
How
go on.
about I can spend 2 luck points to make it an extreme success, and then read the real world Wikipedia entry for Karasiri?
I don't know
How
what
does-
would be
how does
on
that
there.
sound?
It might be a spoiler.
Oh, maybe.
I'd probably need to vet it in case it does say anything.
The Karasiri kill the entire party towards the end of episode 5.
Okay, what I will say is that you basically, reading these stories, you find that everything that has happened so far fits with at least a story about the Karasiri.
Okay.
So the idea that they sort of steal body fat from people, but also that they okay, I'll give you this actually, that's new information. So in one of the stories, somebody, basically what happened to Professor Sanchez happens to somebody, and then they become a Karasiri.
Okay.
Yikes.
So
Dodge that.
maybe Mendoza really liked the professor and wanted him to join him.
Okay.
I'm guessing there'll be some sort of Karasiri chain of command or some, vampire-style hierarchy.
Is there anything in the folk tales about how to undo the process? Like how to cure it? Okay, I will translate that tale for Mrs. Farwell.
I have read through the thingy again, and the two things that stand out to me are the gold and the agonizing hunger. I feel like the hunger is most obviously the weakness to me, but I don't know exactly how that might be used. Should I make an idea roll to get more information or figure out how wrong I am, or is that good enough
make an
information?
idea roll. Make an idea roll.
17. Yes, that's definitely a success. That's almost a hard success.
Okay. So these tunnel walls that it describes, inlaid with the intricate gold carvings, you piecing together what you like. I'm gonna say things with assumptions, right, as if they are fact. So you have a Karasiri. It has touched some gold that was taken from this place, and it has damaged it. The walls of the tunnels were inlaid with these gold carvings. So perhaps it's the equivalent of a cage,
Okay.
like an electric fence equivalent for whatever was in there. And once that was removed, and thus it was an incomplete system, you assume, then these bad things started to happen to them, and presumably they became Karasiri at this point.
Okay. So, in theory, getting them inside and then reinstating the cage would be the best way of defeating. Okay.
It's not a bad idea. I mean, yeah. I've got some ideas about this. I've got some thoughts about this.
So let's say that now everybody gets back, and you can discuss this as a group.
Why would Mendoza want to go back? This seems like, if gold is, if this is the only place that can cage him, then it doesn't seem like something he would ever want to go near ever.
That's a very good point, Wilfred. I do actually agree. Of all the mysteries of this place, if he really is a Karasiri, and somehow the gold of this place is his greatest weakness, why would he ever return there? The one idea I might have is that somehow he is bound to the place. These creatures are bound to that place by something. They rely on it, or they need it, or they're drawn to gather people or power to it or something.
Additionally, we're not going there first, are we? We're going to another location, which I think Elias, did you say that there was the death cult had a potential?
Perhaps, yes, we will stop in the trucks at Puno and then go on foot to the ruins.
So perhaps Puno is Mendoza's real destination. Perhaps he's taking us there.
But
anyway.
Either way, Wilfred has a good point, because if it was simply a cage, then surely the creature that was bound up in the cage would want to get as far away from it as possible. Clearly, he has not done that.
True.
Figueroa's statement on his deathbed, possible mumbling of a madman, but he mentions hearing a voice calling him back to the pyramid. If de Mendoza is likewise afflicted,
bound to it by much more than just hearing a voice. There's something else there more than just these creatures, There must be.
Promising him eternal life. Yes, I remember that phrase now.
As it seems Mr. Mendoza has achieved.
Oh.
In a sense.
Or
in
perhaps
a sense.
de Mendoza doesn't want to go back to the pyramid, but Larkin does.
What, keep your friends close and your enemies closer, kind of thing?
Or that Larkin has some sort of control over him?
An interesting theory. I must admit I hadn't got the measure of a man in control thus far, but perhaps.
Well, regardless, we do have confirmation from the professor that it was indeed Mendoza that attacked him.
So, I don't know if everyone else agrees, but it seems like we should at least work on the principle that this man, if not creature, is incredibly dangerous. The other piece of advice we received from the lady we met was never be alone around him.
Yes, that is eminently sensible.
I think we should make plans for such on our journey.
I had hoped to find, well, when talking to the professor, this idea about maybe returning the gold being in some way a way of a weakness for these creatures. The professor had offered the artifact, the gold artifact, for us to take with us to protect us somehow. But unfortunately, I looked for it in the storeroom and I couldn't find it. I don't know.
Oh, I may have intentionally misplaced it in case either the attacker came back or the police tried to seize it as evidence. I hid it at the back of the room. I'm sure I'll be able to find it. I can't imagine anyone would have moved it from there.
Well, I certainly hope not. I worry that. Well, if Mendoza was trying to,
I look at my wife. I'm just like,
I will. I will look at you and go, roll my eyes and go.
maybe some
Hands
sort of
covered in black paint.
I
with
will
like
probably-
with the little designs from on the gold bar inlaid in the black paint.
I will probably make a small gesture or something like this and go, and just open my palms.
He's got his little tool bag off to the side with the now black bar sticking out the top of it, and he just kicks it under the chair.
perhaps it's a mystery.
It certainly
Oh,
is,
for
Mr.
goodness
Farmer.
sake, husband, we have the bar.
I beg your pardon?
Yes,
We thought it was sensible to acquire the bar in case it proved useful. These things can go missing
it was going to be
easily, it turns
returned.
out. Yes, it was obviously going to be returned.
Oh,
And as it happens, we have permission, so no problems.
Hmm.
and you hadn't spoken to the professor beforehand?
I thought the chances that we would go back to the university or that I would be able to find it again were very, very slim. So
Look,
I took
we
the
needed the
opportunity.
bar. We have the bar. The bar is
Mhm.
safe. The problem is solved.
and very conveniently.
I suppose. Well, we have permission, I guess.
Something ask for forgiveness better than permission.
I'm not sure.
Not sure how
was
that
adding-
really holds up to his price,
I
but-
was adding paint stripper to the.
Why are you
Nothing
writing?
is-
What are you writing down, Mr. Farwell?
Nothing. I'm just quite reminded I've got to go to the shops tomorrow.
I mean, formaldehyde might work, you never know.
That's true. As I remember it, it's perfectly innocent. So you paint golden bars that you intended to share with everyone
There's a
black.
strange smell of paint upstairs as well. I don't know whether.
Like I was like, if we had not talked about this tonight, we could have taken the paint off, and it would look less weird. Like we should talk these things over before we.
Yeah, must have gone. I don't know who's going to go look for it now.
We could have done this tomorrow.
We need people to trust us.
I popped out in the morning to get it.
Are you
Anyway,
it's all right?
this is all happening in looks. Like,
It's, yeah, exactly. As you can understand, there's been a lot going on. It's been a bit stressful.
the heat.
I thought that this item, whatever it was the most potentially likely thing to protect ourselves with, as I saw it the other day, and well, it seemed crucial to have it, I suppose.
Well, I suppose you have good instincts. Yes, Mr. Elias and I were talking earlier. Whether it's the gold itself, whether it's the gold bar in reference to the temple, or whether it's the etchings on the bar.
Yes,
We're
just
not
to
sure.
say as well, it's very dangerous traveling the roads, and as a precaution to prevent it from being stolen, noting how easy it is to do such a thing, I have taken the precaution of painting it black to masquerade it as a piece of scrap metal. I thought I would get that out there right now. because I don't want it to get stolen on the road, and it's in my tool bag. And now that we've discussed all that, I am I'm going to bed.
I'm leaving. Bye.
Yes.
The question does remain: do we believe this item? Given assuming that Mr. de Mendoza is a Karisiri, do we know if this bar can actually provide any defense until we get to the pyramid? Given he was apparently shot in the head, and I mean, perhaps didn't. I mean, maybe it harmed him. I don't know. But we've been told not to be alone. But if two of us were attacked by the creature, what would we do? That's the point I'm getting at.
Well, I did. Yes, that burnt skin. I did wonder that. I can only presume that Mendoza tried to grab the bar whilst after he attacked the researcher, and something stopped him from taking it. I don't know whether it's simply gold. I don't know whether gold burns him. As John, when was Dracula written? The whole silver thing. When was? Am I going to invent silver being bad for things?
Now,
it doesn't matter.
right?
Yeah,
Dracula was already
now.
Nosferatu comes out next year.
I think it was
but
late 19th
Dracula was
century.
late 1800s.
We have
yeah.
Fae are impacted by like iron.
Yes.
So we have cultural.
Okay, cool. Right. I will make so it might be worth. I mean, we don't know until we have to try it, but it might be worth trying to find some gold items, gold knives that might help. But it might be the gold bar itself. It might only be that bar that has an effect.
Cool. Gold knife sounds like a very expensive and unusual thing to come across. Perhaps some coins or something, at least, I suppose, worth a try.
I mean, if we're talking historically, gold would be fairly easy to come across in this part of the world.
I mean, maybe a sort of a letter opener, a sort of something decorative but sharp.
This, oh, sorry. Actually, I have seen it by now because I think I told Mr. Farwell to get it. Like I think we've been over this multiple times, but how big is this thing? Is it something you can like hold in one hand? Is it like a big two-handed thing?
It's 2 foot long or something, isn't it?
It's hefty.
It's 2 foot long. And let me just look at the other.
I'm trying to. The question I'm broadly going for here is it something?
Can you hit someone with it?
Yeah, could you hit someone with? And would it be feasible to carry around to hit someone with, or is it just too big for?
It would be hard, I think, to hit someone with it because it weighs so fucking much.
It's 2 foot long, 3 inches wide, which is that, I guess, and 1/3 of an inch deep. So it's not very.
Okay.
It's like it's quite slim. But it weighs about 25 pounds or 11 kilos.
Okay,
it's hefty.
So you're going to be two-handed.
You could swing. Yeah, you could swing with someone. Okay.
Or we could melt it down and provide everybody with small knives, but let's not go there.
I love the idea. It might be the goal. It might be that this is a really important item for this seal. Let's melt it down.
Yeah, is it coincidental that it is that volume is almost exactly 1,000 milliliters, which I'm like probably. I'm trying to work out what 1,022 milliliters of gold weighs. So it's like
playing with this group it's an exercise in avoiding rabbit holes everywhere. We will flee towards them at the merest opportunity.
Mr. Button, did you find out something about what the creature might have been trying to do with Professor Sanchez? You were telling me about.
Did, unfortunately. I came across this book of folk tales the other day, and well, it seems fairly accurate with what we have currently witnessed, and one particular story features an individual being attacked, much as the professor was, and unfortunately becoming one of them.
So we can assume there may be two ways to become Karasiri, removing or somehow. Well, I suppose perhaps not. Perhaps what came out of that place, what was imprisoned, were those strange worm-like creatures that was implanted into Professor Sanchez. Perhaps that was what was there in the first place, and they somehow got into the conquistadors in the first place.
The sickness does seem to have come on as they were resting, so that's possible. And
Suppose we
it
might-
could provide an explanation for why Figueroa didn't fall victim to it, despite presumably taking and handling as much gold as his companions.
Although it does say the men in the story, which perhaps implies that he did not and ordered his men to do it. I'm not clear on that, but
I think he still suffered from a compulsion to head back, and it was Figueroa himself who claimed he could hear voices luring him back to the pyramid. But it is a good question.
But importantly, he wasn't described as, at that time, gaunt, death-like, and driven by an agonizing hunger.
unlike the rest. Interesting, regardless, that the creature wanted to not kill Professor Sanchez, but turn him into something. I might be looking at Jackson Elias at this point, if he's here with us as well. Curious if he has any thoughts on that.
Perhaps a good person to bring on side if this thing changes someone's personality, then perhaps he wasn't wanted on the expedition because, I don't know, he wouldn't approve of whatever was going on. But if he could be brought into the fold, as it were, then he would certainly be a useful person to have with his knowledge of the area and the history. Not sure.
Indeed. But an interesting question occurs to me. We do not believe Larkin is Karasiri, correct? He doesn't.
Correct.
I mean, I suppose it's an assumption, but he doesn't seem to be. Then, if it would bring someone on side, as it were, to this creature's ways, why not try to convert someone who is your traveling companion or others around you? It seems specifically he targeted Professor Sanchez and not those he's closer with.
I'm not sure we understand enough of his motivations to be able to make strong predictions about his behavior. We just need to be very careful. It's clear Larkin is really quite dependent, both on drugs and probably Mendoza. I don't know. We need to be careful. We need to keep an eye on things. I don't suppose we've had any other sightings of Mendoza, have we? Anything to report?
I'll say that I thought I saw him in his. This is basically the same thing as last night, where I thought I saw him around the hotel, but then he disappeared. There's nothing in those books about them disappearing, is there? I mean, he may be making his way very quickly to his room, but
not that any of these people have read or seen.
I'll mention that I knocked on the door and got no response.
There has been a note that they could perhaps change their form a bit, but I don't think disappear.
Oh, that was the other thing that the professor mentioned. Yes. A wide array of teeth at the point that he was attacked. That sounds like a change in form.
I mean, I wouldn't say that was normal in any case, but I suppose that more or less guarantees that if he thinks he saw de Mendoza and then that is what attacked him, I suppose we know for a fact.
Well, I suppose now the question is, what do we do? Do we carry on and hope that they don't know what we...
If we could find Mendoza in a dark alley in the middle of the night, perhaps we could see if this gold really does affect him. Again, showing that he's a man of scruples.
Mrs. Farwell doesn't say anything, but she seems to approve of this plan.
And if, for example, we have all gone off on a completely wild, superstitious goose chase, and de Mendoza is just a rather unpleasant fellow, then you'd have killed a man with a stolen object.
I'm not saying to kill him, Mr. Barton. I'm saying we could see what happens. You know, we could hand him the bar and see him if it hurt him.
I mean, at the very least, we would be able to see whether he recognizes the bar. But at that point, the game would be up.
We do have to make that decision. It is either we deliberately keep this information to ourselves, or we try to confront him now. As far as I see it, if we do have to confront this creature, it would seem here in the city is probably the safest place to do so.
It all depends on how certain we are that he is this creature.
We also have to ask ourselves what we gain by keeping it to ourselves. We see what plan was meant to unfold. The elements of the surprise at the crucial moment. I could see there being advantages.
That is usually a good approach for if you let someone play out their cards. That can often lead to a more favourable position for yourself if you know what game is being played. Letting people provide themselves with enough rope is definitely.
I'm worried about that approach myself because, well, not only do we know that de Mendoza saw us at the museum, at least at one point. Wait, do we?
I'm not. It's possible. I'm not sure we know.
In that case, I will slightly retcon what I said and say, well, it's certainly possible that de Mendoza saw us at the museum, or at least knew that we were there, which means he would surely suspect that we are on this trail. And I might be being superstitious, but I thought I saw him observing you the other night, having your supper, Mr. Price, as well, out the window.
Really?
So he may have been following us. I'm sorry, I didn't tell you at the time because I thought I was just being jumpy.
Well, no, that's quite all right. I mean, my intention was to be that at least some of us would be behaving normally, I'll say.
But who's to say what else he could have seen?
Edwin will look around the room. Are we away from public viewing at the moment, or?
You're wherever you want to be, really.
Yeah, I hadn't thought we were particularly away.
I think
from
we
the field.
were in like a public side room doing the research, me and Barton, so the
Yeah.
others probably joined us there. So
Well, I'll be
semi
looking
out the
around.
way.
If there are open windows, or windows that lead outside, I will. Yes, be keeping an eye out. But yes, realistically, at this point, I think we either we go along on the expedition or we don't. We change our mind and leave. But
Well, I want to go to that part of Peru nonetheless. However, do we go with them? To me, it hinges on whether we believe de Mendoza knows we are on the trail of this or not. That is what makes my decision.
I am not sure I think we'll only be able to tell by observing him. And we haven't seen him officially since the first night. Perhaps we can gauge something from his demeanor tomorrow. But by then it might be too late.
Do you think Larkin could be persuaded to arrange a meal tonight with him?
It would be worth asking, I suppose.
Is the expedition supposed to be starting tomorrow, or is it the day after tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Yeah,
Okay.
Today is
Yeah,
Sunday,
then
tomorrow's Monday.
I think I hesitate to say a last meal, but a celebratory meal, a commencement meal. Sure, that sounds like the kind of thing that Larkin might be persuaded is good luck.
Perhaps we can push him to get his colleague to come.
That's a good idea. Perhaps then we can see which way the cards fall.
I like the sound of that.
Let's leave it there. Thanks, everybody. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the chat and we can discuss them. I think, the plans for other things happening on the channel again, sort of October, for Simba Room and the Yellow King. We should be reasonably ongoing on Mondays now.
At some point, we might even go on the expedition.
Well, your time's running short now for for it to begin.
Maybe 2 sessions.
Yeah. Links to stuff below the stream. So YouTube if you're watching on Twitch, or Twitch if you're watching on YouTube. Our social media, our Discord, which please join and come and chat with us, and our Patreon, where if you like what we do, you can support us there. I think that's kind of everything. Any good questions or comments? From Steve, hopefully the NPCs will begin to rue the day they hired us.
Is the GM beginning to rue the day?
No.
Oh,
I'm
good.
having a lovely time.
You can't put us with people this dodgy, not expect us to prepare. It's quite fun, actually. And I love Jonny either going like, they're going to prep this pretty well, or probably more likely, I can't wait to surprise them when he knows everything and is just going to outplay them in every move.
Steve, again, you don't let one mysterious flesh-eating parasite and one unexplainable death spoil a holiday. Was that in reference to when Mr. Farwell was saying it's a nice holiday so far?
Yes. I mean, that hasn't changed. That hasn't changed.
It's words to live by. That
I really don't know whether Farwell actually believes that I don't think he really believes in vampires even at this stage. I think he's still like, I'm not really sure what's going on, but like, I mean, if they're enjoying it.
I love that Jack obviously when players aren't in, you don't play the character so much. So I love to imagine Jack's character just kind of stunned to silence while we're having all these conversations where we basically just accepted Karasiri exists and we're planning to deal with it. And Jack's just like,
well, when you've got one in a pot, you know.
We could also poke the maggot with the gold bar.
That's true.
Oh, true.
Yeah,
It
it's
is already
definitely
dead.
I thought it
I
was
just,
dead.
I just imagine like Axe dropping the gold bar and just
we don't
mashing
know
the
it's dead.
maggot. It weighs so fucking much.
Just squish it.
Just macerated.
Well,
like,
it-
maggot
it
in a
works.
jar.
Conclusive proof. Yeah.
So if we just drop the gold bar and de Mendoza from a large height,
It's probably going to work.
I mean, it would work
Yeah,
against
but
most
if-
people.
I mean, like this is Acme vampire.
Oh, God.
We tried a piano.
Patchwork Fair's rolling in this economy. Quite right. Quite right. Those
we have
dice will
another one.
eventually wear down, you know.
We have another one from Patchwork.
Is this British Museum the RPG? It got
Yeah.
that way a bit, didn't it?
Did.
Yeah.
We were discussing like how we're going to deal with getting things out of the museum.
I had to go there, in effect. I couldn't not,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
with the opportunity of...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the person whose the item sort of in a way belonged to told you to go and get that item from where, as far as you were both concerned, it was.
Mm-hmm. We all knew we were going to have the moment when we revealed it was stolen. It just came earlier than we expected.
I was hoping we'd be on the road before it happened.
Yeah.
And that way no one can object that much. But I'm glad that we have permission now. That is nearly as good.
Look, Professor Sanchez doesn't need to know that we acquired it before he gave us permission. So
Yeah.
we're fine as long as we scrub all the paint off.
But I would say again, we could have done this so differently, Sam. Like you know, like you don't get like Fargo-esque crazy situations happening if you just reveal everything straight away.
There's an amount of that that's fun. But there's also an amount of that that is specifically betraying the trust of other player characters, which I feel is
That's
outside
true.
of the sensible at this point in the story.
You probably didn't need to go on that.
Just
that
the whole
detail.
wait for a couple of days. Oh yeah, we have it. Sorry, you were trying to find it for a few days, thinking it had been stolen by the monster.
I think there's value in keeping information hidden because now somebody might tell Mendoza if there's a spy amongst the others.
From Sam, classic lunch conversation. So that eldritch tattoo on your chest you'd not seen before last night.
I was really hoping you'd bring it up.
Yeah, I was like, that's a big deal for me to make the decision on whether Jack's character would, in public, just be like,
Yeah.
So yeah, about that.
Just finish a sipping drink. So.
Is it still there?
Yeah.
I'd like to put to comment about de Mendoza.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Very
So he
unlikely,
deserves
like,
being crushed. He deserves being crushed under a gold bar, regardless.
Piping hot moral judgments. But yes, I mean, you know, like sucking the fat out of people, it doesn't put you, you know, it's usually something of a negative.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's
Unless you're a cosmic.
career
I mean,
in
that's consensual
Yeah, unless you're
generally.
Well, yeah.
Cool. Thanks everybody. Yeah, we should be all go for next week. So hopefully see you then. Who knows? They might even start an expedition.
We have the meal to get through first.
Yeah.
Real-time meal.
I hope people are watching nice, slow.
Oh,
I mean, they wouldn't be here if they didn't, I suppose.
We'll have props. I'll order everyone a takeaway to be done at the appropriate time, and we can. Yeah.
One of them will be poisoned.
He's not paying for the takeaway. He's not paying for the takeaway. He's just ordering it.
One of them will be poisoned, and there'll be a vial of thingy that's on the spinny tables, and then it'll cool. On that Indiana Jones note, see you next week. Cheers, everybody. Bye bye.